This one is called the Older Youth Group. I've told you about hindquarters in some detail. But there were other people in the immediate vicinity of hindquarters, and they called themselves the Older Youth Group. There was Isabel Johnson, who was an osteopath. There were Alex Lee and his wife, and he was a communist. No other way to put it. It's like he was. And then there were Biff and Gordy Caldwell. And across the street from the Caldwells was the Allen couple, Betsy and her sometime here, sometime there husband. And they were not, any of them, part of the Hind group. So my mother, who had a terrible road accident that I've written about somewhere else, her back was messed up. She had been a big star in multiple sports at Ohio State. She was a lifeguard and all that. And then she had this automobile accident and her back got messed up. And so we would go up from time to time, up just at the top of the hill, where Isabel, Ms. Johnson, had her studio and also a little antique shop where I used to buy presents for my mother, for her birthday and stuff. And she had this dark thing, a place, and she'd manipulate my mother's back, and my mother always said it helped her. So I don't know. And Isabel was actually this very nice lady. I remember her. She was just 100 yards away from where we lived. Anyhow, then another 200 yards away was the place where Biff and Gordy lived. Now, Biff and Gordy were close friends with the Lees, Alex and his wife. And they were communists, and the Caldwells were rabid Republicans. And they hung out with each other. And and Alex Lee was a great watercolor artist. Great one. I've got a couple of his paintings right here. Because he was a great artist. A complete idiot, of course, when it comes to politics. But anyhow, the Caldwells and the Lees were good friends, and my father and my mother were good friends with the Caldwells. And see, here's the funny thing: it's the Caldwells never got into political fights with the Lees. They did get into a big fight with my parents. And this is all before I came of age. They got into a big fight about the 1952 presidential primary. Because that was the year that the Republicans were going to nominate Eisenhower. And the rabid Republicans, Biff and Gordy, wanted they wanted Robert Taft. You probably have never even heard of Taft, except that in later life I learned that there was a place called the Taft School, or never mind. It was all nonsense. And they had this dog named Packy, who was a cool dude, right? He was like a cool dog. And they would say, "What are you gonna do what are you gonna do if Eisenhower gets nominated?" And Packy would like roll over and play dead. It's like, but all that was done by the time I grew up. And so we would go and we would talk to them. And Biff was actually a mystery novelist. He had like half a dozen mystery novels that he had written. And Gordy was like the coolest woman you've ever seen in your life. So okay, how can I describe Gordy? I think she was originally from Canada. I don't know. And she had this wonderful face. I just, that's the thing, I can't ever get over Gordy's face. Because she looked old, and she looked young too. She looked like Edith Piaf should have looked. You know, if Edith Piaf had been allowed to grow old, she would have looked like Gordy. And she was so kind. And we would sit there, and it's like their couch was like horsehair, and the house smelled of horsehair. And anyhow, she was beautiful, and Biff looked like every accountant you've ever seen. I mean, how can you look like an accountant and like write half a dozen mystery novels? Never mind. And then we lived across the street from Betsy Allen. And this part of it is sad because Betsy Allen was beloved. She actually was a member of the Hindquarter crew. And she was a bitch. She was just terrible, right? And nobody knew it. I cut her grass for like several years, and she had like the meanest German shepherds I've ever seen in my life. She did cruel embroidery. She embroidered her curtains, no, drapes. She was like amazing. She had like white hair. She would like go to the hind place and like sit there, and everybody thought Betsy is such a nice person. No, she was not, because she would like walk her vicious German shepherds by her house every day. And one day, I had made the mistake that my dog Maddie was like out, and her dog came in and attacked Maddie. I mean, it was vicious, right? So, and here she is like standing there, like watching it. She's not like trying to separate anything. It's like, oh my God. So I go pelting out, you know, like to save Maddie, right? Because these two dogs are like on Maddie. And I managed to separate them. Because Maddie's actually fighting them off. It's like Maddie knows that these are like bad dogs, and she's got to fight them off, right? So I get Maddie back home, and you think everything's okay. You think she's okay, right? So, and then we find out like a day later, like there's this puncture wound in her neck, right?